So, hello and welcome to the Vitality Podcast. This is a podcast that brings you all that concerns your health. And last week we had a very educative talk show on mental health issues, whereby we had a guest who really gave an expansive perspective on mental health. And on today's talk show, we're also having another guest who's going to speak on emotional eating. That is emotional eating. And this is a topic that I feel resonates well with every one of us actually, because when you talk about emotional eating, we are talking about food. And food is everywhere. Food is at the center of everything that we do. So our guest today is a certified nutritionist. She goes by the name Meg Mumbi, and she also works with Radiant Group of Hospitals. So welcome Mumbi to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so particularly I almost called you by Meg Mumbi because I think that is the first name we introduce each other with actually.
Yeah, actually,
So
it's like it's more so of a friendly name more than an official name.
yeah. So maybe a little bit, just tell us who is Meg Mumbi before. Oh, right, Margaret Mumbi before we carry on. Yes.
Okay, so for Meg, I can go by that too, but officially my names are Margaret Mombi. I'm a registered nutritionist working at Radiant Group of Hospitals for now. Well, for Radiant, it's a big facility with various branches. So for me, I'm working at Umoja branch and Kasarani branch. So I'm handling two branches at a time. So basically for nutrition, it's something that I really love. Something that I wake up every morning and I enjoy doing. It's something that gives me joy helping people getting to know like what they should be feeding on. Because basically what we eat is what we are. Yeah.
Yes. Also, apparently, when you talk of nutrition, for most of us, even I personally, when you talk of nutrition, I just think about maybe dieting and is it wide or yeah.
Okay, for nutrition, it's very wide actually. It's very wide. Okay, basically, it's, from maybe from maybe what you've said, when you think of nutrition, you say it's all about dieting and all that, but nutrition entails so much. Um, like right now, I'm able to help so many people that are having various conditions, various diagnoses, maybe like diabetes, cancer, so many things they have to deal with and they don't know. Like basically, those people can't just have a normal diet like everyone else. They have to have like a therapeutic diet that will help them manage whatever they're going through. So basically, that's why we're there for. And also, also like nutrition can have the other side of maybe bodybuilding, the other side of maybe you want to lose weight. So it can be managing conditions, it can be a lifestyle, it can be basically what we are, because we eat every day and every time. That's what we do. So
Exactly.
for nutrition, it's not just about dieting. Yeah,
Wide.
yeah,
Okay. Talking of emotional eating, majority of the people just know that you eat when you want to have fun. You eat when you whatever you
yeah,
earn. You feel any moment that you want to just eat, you just eat. Is it a
yeah.
disorder? What actually is it?
Okay, okay, I don't want to call it a disorder, but it's something that you go through um some moments when you're not maybe feeling well. Um, okay, in a nutritional term, we call it binge eating. So binge eating is the same thing as emotional eating. So where you just eat to soothe whatever you're going through, or maybe making yourself feel better. So the same way like someone can drink to make them feel better, it's the same thing that you can maybe eat and it will make you feel a bit at ease. And when it comes to emotional eating, it can be both positive emotions, it can be negative emotions. So basically, doesn't mean that I have to be stressed for me to eat a lot. It doesn't, I can be happy. So there are those people who get so happy and they feed. And there are those people who, whenever they're going through a stress moment, they feed a lot. And basically, most of those people, after like the whole situation has like passed, they're like, they don't like what they've done with themselves. So that's why it's basically called stress eating. So you're trying to eat to make yourself feel better.
Okay, so there's this one majority of the people actually love using it. That ukiwa na stress, wewe kula tu, usijali uko na nini, wewe kula tu.
There's
Exactly.
another
So
body in heaven.
yes, I think
Yeah.
nowadays people are using food to actually suppress their emotions. So,
Yeah.
but yes. So how do you know that you're stress eating? Because for most of the people, they just eat maybe. How do you differentiate it from the normal anger
Okay,
or
so
the normal
for sometimes
impulse?
you have to identify yourself whenever like you overfeed. And most of the times those people who stress eat, they don't stress eat on something that is healthy. Barely would you find someone at a stress eat anakula sukuma. Barely. But those people are eating either they eat, mostly they love fatty food or like very, very sweet food. They are on chocolate, KFC, cheese. So to identify, get to I eat happy, why over certain kinds of food, chocolate, and feel like it soothes me, and feel like maybe at that moment I'm not feeling stressed. So basically it has to come from you identify like eat, because basically the stress eating, you'll find the results very short time.
Okay, but you said so people are, they are eating the the food and all the sweet food. So, but basically, like what are okay, going back to what are the triggers of eating and
Uh,
gluten? Can identify eating, can hands. Maybe they're not eating track. What other means that they are eating the
mhm.
normal eating style?
Basically, say 8 pound, you'll usually know when you stress eating. And those people who mostly stress eat, you'll find them struggling with some few things like weight gains. You get. So, and most of the times when you find yourself stress eating, you'll find yourself eating so very many things that are not healthy for you. So to identify when you stress eating is actually very easy. Okay, so it's not the same thing as the moment you identify you have an issue, like maybe you have stress and all that. When it comes to stress is eating, it's very easy to identify. But sometimes you just find yourself, you've been maybe, for stress can be work related, can be relationship. So the same thing as there are people who run to alcohol to maybe soothe themselves. So there are those people who, and the moment you run to alcohol to make yourself feel better, sometimes you identify this is what I'm taking to make myself maybe to feel a bit better. The same way to eating. After you eat and then you're done, that's the moment you start feeling guilty. Because maybe you had your own goal set to lose weight, but you've gone back to eat. So sometimes it's not so hard to identify when you're going through the same emotional eating over and over again.
Okay. So particularly with those people like they're struggling with weight gains and all that. You know, some people resort to eating frequently. Can you also say eating frequently? Is it part of the emotional eating? Because there are some people who like, I want to gain weight. You have to eat this particular food within a
Yeah.
very short time. Yes.
Well, particularly not really. Like the same way you've said that if someone who wants to get like gain weight, they eat a lot.
Yes.
So basically, those people they have a goal. Okay, so you can't identify that as stress eating. Maybe they just need to learn the kind of meals they need to take to gain weight or to get to whatever weight or weight amount they want to get to, so basically sometimes you find someone and like they're stress eating because um they just want to lose weight or maybe gain weight, but they don't have the knowledge of how to. So basically that can't be stress eating. So the only wrong thing with that is maybe taking something that you're not supposed to be taking and not having the knowledge how to. Yeah.
So that means it is right to eat within short periods of time, but eating the right kind of food. Is that what you
Yeah.
really mean? Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
basically, actually, even when you advising people, we advise on maybe taking small portions frequently because you're giving your body breaks to like digest whatever it's you've given it at that moment before you give it something else. So eating small portions frequently, it's very okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
and how can you help someone who has the issue of eating out of particular emotion, get out
Mhm.
and maybe channel that energy towards healthy
Mhm.
eating?
Okay, so one of the things you can help those people is um, like push them to maybe or maybe help them to identify whatever stress they are going through. So that one would be the first step. Like know when is it that when I go to work that I feel stressed out? Is it when maybe I'm heartbroken? Is it maybe when I see my boyfriend and I don't want to see him anymore? And that's the moment I start stress eating. So basically you have to identify the thing that is leading you to that, and with that you're able to like maybe control like the whole stress eating. Okay, when you identify that, at least you'll be able to like fight it or something. And then the other thing is maybe eating when you're hungry, like encouraging those people to eat when they're hungry. Because for people who stress eat, basically, hata kama nimekula sahi and then I go through a stressful period or an emotion, I'll eat. So
You eat.
another thing that would help, yeah, another thing that will help them cope is to eat when hungry and avoid eating when they are full, and having a limit of when the amount of food that they take. So with that, you have to maybe like calculate the amount of calories they have to take in one day. And with that, you can give them a limit of this is the much you can take in a day as much as you're stress eating. So basically you have to like talk to them, let them have a limit, and maybe with that you might, it's the same thing as when you're getting away from something. I can't just come to you and tell you if you're taking 5 bottles you need to like just stop. So
At
basically
once.
if you
Exactly.
yeah, so if you're taking 5 chocolates, I'll maybe start with 3, and then maybe with from that 3, if it's giving you like 500 calories, I'll maybe reduce on other kinds of meals to maybe reduce the calories you take in a day. And with that, with time, we'll go reducing the amount of calories you're taking. So that's the way we help people who are eating stressfully.
Okay. And do we have cases whereby we have people who are, extreme emotional eaters?
Yeah, we do. So you
Oh,
find that person like the amount of pounds they gain in a
mhm.
very short time, it would really alarm you. Like it happens. So mostly for people who like feel like they're not wanted, things like that. So they tend to like eat more because they find solace in that. So basically, there are people who overeat, basically. Yeah.
Okay. So, and particularly, how do you help people, build a good relationship with food? Because I feel like most of the people just eat. There's a friend of mine was telling me I only eat when I feel angry. Like I don't, I don't eat at any other time. So
Uh-huh.
basically, like, yeah, how do you help someone to actually, gain good relationship with food, particularly?
So basically, you just need to, first of the things you need to do is to learn the importance of food. What food can do to your body, what food can really, food is basically the biggest part of our livelihood.
Exactly.
So for a person like that, you need to make them understand, like, if you don't do this, this will happen to you. And maybe you can have a discussion with them and maybe get to learn what they're doing, or maybe what's leading them there, or where they would want to be. And with that, you're able to like advise them according to where they want to be. Because basically, you can't just go telling someone, you look like you're 60 kgs, you need to earn like 50 or something. So it's when it comes to that, it might sound a bit intrusive. So
Mm.
basically, we just need to learn someone like what they do, and from that you'll get uh, to help them. So maybe like your friends, uh, um, maybe start an movie that speaks, and to maybe advise them really do why even taking a try smooth your from that.
Right? So basically, there's this. Do you also have talking kind of food where we to help emotional eaters, like maybe can help them reduce the what do we say? You said we cannot call it a disorder, but
Yeah.
yeah, the situation of
Uh,
the substance.
yeah, there is. So the same thing I've told you, like these people don't eat things that are healthy. Most of the time they need something that it's very sweet. But there are also things like maybe for example, I can blend a very sweet smoothie out of fruits.
Yeah.
So that still can help comfort them, but on the positive side. So it it's rich in nutrients, it will help them because basically for in losing weight. So you try find a way that you can change. If you can give me this one chocolate that you take at this specific time, and I give you this healthy thing that can help you, at least we'll be at par, or maybe I'll be helping you somewhere. Yeah. So basically, you just need. These are people that you can't just tell them just stop, because they need,
Yeah.
that's their coping mechanism. So you
Mm-hmm.
just need to learn if this is what they like, what can you substitute that with? And with time they learn to live without that thing, and with time you'll be able to like stick them to a certain diet plan that is healthy for them.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe till before we go for a short break, maybe is there, that was my question really, is there a particular maybe set of food that can help them cut down on stress eating? Maybe a particular
um
list of food? Yeah.
well, I wouldn't mention like specific foods, because if
Yeah.
I was to,
Uh-huh.
um when it comes to nutrition, nothing sweet is healthy. So basically, I wouldn't mention something Nikwambia, like if you don't take this, chocolate would be better. Because um, if I was to make you a smoothie, I'm sure if even the smell alone would take you away. So I'm sure for sure, like nothing that is nutritious is sweet or maybe smells good, but you just have to cope with for your own good. And basically eating healthy also with time makes you feel good about yourself. So I wouldn't mention like a specific meal, but I would mention like certain food that will make you feel good about yourself, something that will give you a positive change and all that. So I'd make you a very nice diet plan full of vegetables and fruits and all that. Yeah,
And
if
that
you
is,
can cope with that, that would be better.
but that is what actually most of the people are shying away from. People just want to eat
Yeah.
the sweet things. Okay, so
So yeah, they are sweet and all, but they are not. They wouldn't lead you in the good way.
okay, so let's have a short break. We'll be right back on the ways of coping or the coping mechanisms to deal with stress eating. So welcome
Mm-hmm.
back from break. And our first session has been quite amazing. We have had our guests tell us that we should actually get to trace our eating patterns and avoid, eating when not actually necessary. So before we get to this other session, maybe on ways of coping with stress eating. Maybe just tell us what actually do you think with the current generation, Gen Z? Do you think they're really going to, understand that there's something called stress eating? Because for them, literally, it's all about eating the junk food, eating at any time. Do you think it's going to be easy, setting them down and telling them maybe there's something called stress eating? Do you think it's going to be that easy?
With the Gen Z, it might not be easy, but basically, it's just first step is just explaining to them what you mean by stress eating, because for them sometimes for people who are stress eating, they might just think that they're eating because they're hungry.
Mhm.
Sometimes they don't know that they're stress eating. So basically, you just have to bring it to them for them to understand what's stress eating. And with that, maybe they can explain to you like the particular times they eat. And then from that, you can maybe get to discuss with them like, do you think at this moment that you ate, were you really hungry? Or were you eating just because you wanted to? And from that, you can get to uh, come to a certain conclusion with them if they're really stress eating or not. Because sometimes for some people, they just eat because they just want it, not because they're going through something that is hard for them, just because they just want to. Yeah. So
Okay.
as much of nutrition is there, even going through counseling with them and maybe just getting to know like what's leading to them getting there. So with that, you're able to let them know this is basically stress eating, and this is the way you can maybe handle that. Yeah.
And talking of eating because they wanted to, talking of they see this set of people whereby they want to actually gain weight. And maybe somebody has been
Yeah.
actually struggling with weight gain. So, like, to
Yeah.
them, they're seeing this eating beneficial to them. How can you help such a particular person? Because for them, that is something beneficial, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that, you can start by helping them with like what's basically healthy for them and that can help them to gain weight. So basically, just eating junk foods won't help you gain weight. And if it will help you, not in the right way. Because basically, I can gain weight and be at a certain weight that I want to, but is my immunity better? So you just just have to let them know, like, if this is your goal, let me work with you. Let me maybe help you with the amount of learn about the amount of calories you need to eat in a day and gain the amount of weight you want in a certain period of time and still be healthy at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. So, and we have like a particular set of people who are mostly affected with emotional eating. Can we say that a
Not
particular
really.
group of people are the most affected, or literally it's just everyone?
Imagine it can be anyone, because basically when it's stress eating or emotional eating, you can't just tell stress can get someone at certain age or at a certain age. So basically it's not like a certain group oriented or anything. So it can be with anyone and everyone. Yeah. At different age groups. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, on the coping mechanisms, what are some of the ways you can help someone who has been struggling with, emotional eating?
When it comes to coping mechanisms, you just have to like come to a certain agreement with them. Because this is someone you can't just go to them and tell them you just need to stop,
Mm.
you know. So if you help them like identify, this is the moment I stress eat and this is the moment that I feel I'm a bit low, and then you can come up with a coping mechanism at that moment. Maybe I'll tell you, maybe eat a carrot at that specific moment, or maybe something
Okay.
different that helps you cope,
Mhm.
but it's a bit healthy for you. So at least we'll get to discuss and maybe we'll come to a certain conclusion. Maybe this is what you can complement with whatever you take. And with that, you can maybe come to a certain conclusion and maybe holding yourself and eating when you're hungry and not eating when you just feel like you want to. Yeah, and for people who stress eat also, like when it comes to physical exercise, you just need have to. Yeah. So yeah.
And what's actually the treatment for stress eating, or it's just the dieting and
The dieting, and also there's no basically food that I would give you and tell you if when you take this, the whole stress eating remedy will be gone. But basically I'll maybe come up with a certain food that maybe you can ask those people what's your favorite meal that you can take that is a healthy meal that and can complement whatever you do when you're hungry. Is it that maybe you can take a meat and then with maybe something else and maybe feel better? And maybe from that, if you take like around 10 pieces of meat, we can discuss and for you to take around 4 pieces. So basically with time, you'll get um, to stop eating the junk foods you do when you're stressed out. So basically with time, you'll get to cope. So it's not something I can just come tell you in like 2 3 days you'll be okay from, in 2 3 days you'll have to stop. So it's a whole process that I'll have to work with you. It's a whole process that I'll get to create a diet plan for you. It's something that you'll have to follow, and it's something that you'll have to like want for yourself too.
so particularly someone has to go through that process. It's not just about, you stopping this particular diet today and
Yeah.
you're okay. Okay, okay. So
No,
it takes.
basically it's not. It's a whole process,
Oh, yeah.
but it's
Okay.
not a hard one. Basically, if you want to, it's really a very easy process because basically I can't just come tell you just stop. So I'll
Mhm.
try work with, even if I'm giving you a diet plan, I'll try work with what you can manage. So I can't make you a diet plan when you're not there. So you'll tell
Okay.
me if it's ugali and this, I can manage that. If I'll give you maybe a chocolate a day, that will work for you. So it's something that we'll have to work together.
Okay. And
Yeah.
is there, we have talked of maybe the negatives. Is there a positive impact of stress eating?
Well, sometimes someone might get lucky and get maybe, mostly for those people who want to gain weight and all that,
Mm.
maybe you might get lucky and get there, but when it comes to like health benefits, I don't find any, because as I've said, barely would you find someone stress eating on anything that is healthy.
Yeah, for
And
sure,
if
for
you do, that would be one lucky person, maybe. Yeah.
sure. So, maybe lastly, what would you tell someone who is struggling with emotional eating, maybe without knowing or knowingly? Yeah, what's your advice to them?
So one of the advice I'd give to someone who is binge eating is one of the things they have to do is get help.
Mhm.
With that, when you get help, mostly from maybe a counselor or maybe a therapist, and with that, you'll get to identify when you stress eating. And with that, maybe when you come, they'll maybe forward you to a nutritionist. And at that point, you'll get help of maybe someone who'll get you to a certain schedule, to a certain feeding schedule that you can manage with, to do with. So basically, just downloading something online wouldn't help. So mostly like maybe working with someone that will help you learn, this is what you should take at this specific moment. This is the amount of calories you should take in a day. This is the much damage you're doing to your body when you take these much sugars and junks. So basically, most of the important thing is getting help. So that would be the biggest portion of managing stress eating.
Okay. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Margaret. This has been a really educative session even for me, because particularly we always knew that we're just eating food, and anytime we just have to eat it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you're welcome.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much.
Basically, that's this is like one of the topics that I've never like had a client like that, but a client that comes to me and tells me that I'm stress eating. But sometimes after a client give you like the schedules or maybe the frequency at which they eat, at the back of your mind, you get to identify this person is basically stress eating. So it's something that people are going through out here, and it's maybe something people haven't identified and they need to for them to get help. So I'm
But
really glad to be here and to help out. And they can always come to me and I'll be so glad to help them out.
okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for being with us for the show. This has been the Vitality Show. See you next week on the same show again. Remember, this is Mamboleo Media. You can follow us on throughout all our pages. That is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Thank you, and have a good night.